Welcome back to another episode of the Tradepreneur Show. I'm Patrick Summers, your host. My co-host, Mike Costa.
What's up, bud?
Not much, man. Just,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Excited because we've got, I don't know if you're aware of this, but we got a big game coming up.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot. Yeah, that high school basketball game we're all expecting. It's hard. And this, for those of you who have not seen the Tradepreneur podcast yet, I'll just kind of give you a brief background. My background's in sports talk radio and television. So I used to say this religiously. As soon as the NFL season would kick off in September, I would come into our producer and say, I'm so excited, I'm so happy, but I'm so depressed because I know that this is finite and eventually it's going to end. Because you just get so geared up for football. And here we are. You know, we've got the big game, the Super Bowl coming up between the Chiefs and your Eagles.
Yeah, and my Eagles, I'm a native of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Grew up just outside of Philadelphia. My wife, she's from Philadelphia, and it's our hometown. Even though we haven't lived there in a while.
Such a great city.
But I was for quite a while. Kind of COVID disrupted it. I would go back every year, and I'd go to a Monday night or a Sunday night Eagles game. So my commitment is to get back there next year.
Heck yeah.
Eagles are my team. People always say when you find out I'm from Philadelphia, are you Eagles fan? I'm like, what else is there to be?
Is Pope Catholic?
I mean, I think there's some unwritten rule that if you're from Philadelphia, you have to have that loyalty. I mean, we all know. I think even if you're not a football fan, right, which I don't know if that exists, we all know that the Eagle fans are a unique breed.
Oh.
I mean, the famous throwing snowballs at Santa Claus, right?
He deserved it.
I mean, and I don't know how many people know this, but their old stadium used to have a jail and a magistrate in it because there would be arrests and they needed to get these people tried or cited or whatever. But
no suspended sentences there.
Yeah. So it's a hardcore group. I'll tell you. I took my son to his first game, probably like the year 2019.
Okay.
Young at the time. He's 19 now. At the time he was young, and we're at the game, and these guys in the stand are just like going off, right? Typical Philly stuff. And they turn and they notice me, and then they notice my son. I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm like, it's okay. He hears worse from his mother, right? So, I mean, we're from Philly,
Right.
And that's why occasionally I do, if you get offended, every now and then you might hear a inappropriate word.
Excellent.
That's my moment of prayer, right?
Well, and there's something about a Philly fan. There's nothing fake about a Philly fan, and that applies to the Eagles, the Flyers, the 76ers, the Phillies, etc.
Yeah.
I mean, that is as true as it comes as far as sports fans are concerned. I had an uncle who coached in the NFL for many, many years, and he was a Oakland Raider assistant with John Madden and then Tom Flores. Wow. And so he was on the winning side of Super Bowl 15. I'm sorry. I apologize. But, you think about those teams, you think about Dick Vermeil, what he meant to that city. And then, for the longest time the Eagles were always just kind of, God, they're almost there. And then they finally get over the hump and give that wonderful city their first Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And now they're back against the team that's beat them in a Super Bowl. And Patrick, I don't know about you, but the Mahomes, the Kelsey, the Andy Reid commercials, the Taylor Swift crap, I think there is national chief fatigue.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't the Eagles going into the game, I would definitely be rooting for whoever the Chiefs were playing.
100%.
And it's tough for me to say that because I have such respect for the Chiefs. I have Andy Reid. Used to be the Eagles coach.
Yep.
Phenomenal human being, phenomenal coach.
Yep.
And I think he learned a lot at the Eagles. I always used to say, he can't manage a clock, right? And he hangs on to people too long,
Sure.
right? Which is a good trait and a bad trait, but I think he really learned a lot. He got to the Chiefs, and man, what a run! And the players on that team, phenomenal. It's what a really solid functioning team is and should be.
Yeah.
That said, come on. I mean,
Please lose.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's hard because, and being a Raider fan, mine is pure jealousy. I will admit that up front. What they have done, if I take my fandom out of it and I go to the 30,000-foot view, what they have done is remarkable. And on the precipice of potentially winning a third Super Bowl in a row.
Yeah.
And people think, well, we discount the fact that the Buffalo Bills, although they lost four. They lost four in a row.
Yeah.
Getting back to this game, and you talk about everybody, the Hall of Famer Howie Long, who went to Villanova.
Yeah,
by the way.
yeah, he did.
Howie Long said, he goes, we went my first couple of years as a Raider. We're going to go back every year. Never got back.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of the teams talk about. Yeah, I thought we won one, or we got there and we lost, but we never got back. It is so tough to do. So to that part about Andy Reid and surrounding himself with good people, but obviously being the buck stops here with me. And any decision that is made on that football team, good or positive, is Andy Reid's decision. And he owns it and he wears it.
Yep.
And it's kind of crazy how you think in terms of a football team, and then kind of you're I know that you're more or less the Andy Reid of your business and your team, and that's how a lot of good businesses survive and they also grow, is when everybody knows, hey, we got somebody great leading us.
Yeah.
And he will always have our backs, and he will do everything that is best for the team going forward.
Yeah, and that's the mark of any great organization. And that's one of the reasons I love football so much is football. There are so many lessons in football that can be applied to life and business. And, one of the things in football, like we all love those amazing plays,
Sure.
right? Those just absolutely amazing passes, runs, whatever they are. And they're fantastic to watch, but that's not what wins football games, right? And it's like a business. Those amazing days, those amazing weeks, quarters, fantastic. They're exciting, right? But that doesn't win your game of business. It's the consistency. Just like football's a game of inches, business or even self-improvement is a game of inches. I mean, it's about consistency. It's about doing the right things, building the right team, having the right culture, having the right leadership. And the right leadership is not just the main leader, but the captains, the managers, right? And everybody being accountable. But the buck stops here mentality.
Have you always been that type of guy? Have you always been a self-starter? Now you've told us on past episode of the Tradepreneur podcast how your dad instilled a great work ethic in you, and you kind of knew what you wanted to do young growing up. And have you always had that ability to just, hey, come on, jump on my shoulders, I'm taking you there?
Yeah, okay. I mean, I think it evolved. Obviously, it wasn't to the level that it is now. I think it continues to evolve. I hope I even continue to evolve that. But and I think, but here's what's unique is like my style. It's not what's required to be successful, right? In business or sports or whatever it may be. There's all different styles. Like I'm a driver, right? If you're familiar with the disc, I'm a high D driver. But there are really successful people that are not high Ds. And they're making things happen. But it's how can you adjust and who do you have to be in the moment to make things happen? And I think that's the amazing thing about leadership, right? Is understanding who you are and who you're not, and knowing who you need to be in that moment, and being able to coach and lead when it matters most, right? And the rest of the time, and then if you're doing that, and I think like with Andy Reid, then you start to build an organization, right? And the great thing is, you build an organization of people like that.
Yeah.
That organization when you have a business and you bring in the wrong person's there, you don't have to worry about dealing with it because the organization's going to force them out.
Self-policing.
Yes, yes.
That's probably one of the best ways to describe it.
We'll be right back. And on the other side of this, you may be wondering now, am I listening to a sports podcast? And the answer is no. But on the other side of this break, we're going to talk about how this all applies to business and the lessons to be learned. Happy New Year, Coachella Valley. This is Patrick Summers, President and CEO of General Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Listen, we all know that New Year's resolutions usually don't last, but with proper maintenance and service, your plumbing, electrical, and HVAC system will give you many years of trouble-free service. Give us a call, get it tuned up, get the inspections done. Let's make sure you're good to go all year long. Happy to take care of you. Happy New Year. Let's make this year, 2025, an amazing year. Welcome back to the Tradepreneur Show, where we're talking a little bit of football and tying it into business. And, you know, as a Raiders fan, and obviously me an Eagles fan,
right.
A funny story. I was a kid. I don't know what grade I was in. Second grade, maybe. Third grade.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah, third, fourth. St. Monica school back in Philly.
God bless her.
Going to school, and it's 1981. Super Bowl, right?
Yep.
Eagles, Raiders.
In New Orleans.
Yep. So, watching the game, I remember our sister Catherine said, "Lady, listen, your only homework is to watch the Super Bowl over the weekend, right?" And so, anyways, I loved her for that. Anyways, we watched the Super Bowl, Eagles lose. So, but me, a kid, you know, the next morning, the newspaper comes. We're living at my grandmother's because my dad was building a new house. So,
okay.
So I go downstairs and the newspaper's there, and I cut this picture out. It's a picture of Ron Jaworski, and I hang it on the refrigerator, right? Because I'm a young kid, right?
Jaws.
Yeah, and so I'm there, and my dad comes in the room. He looks, goes to get, he's like, who the hell hung this bum on my fridge? And the first thing I'm thinking is like, Dad, that's Grandma's fridge, right? But I'm like, I'm not going to say that. But that gives you kind of a sentiment of,
yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So anyway,
yeah.
Anyways, yeah, man.
Well, you know, it's like it was his turn to perform, and he throws 3 interceptions to Rod Martin in that game. So
well, I went back from my sister's wedding years later. I'm driving down the Schuylkill Expressway. There's a billboard. It's the Jaworski Hotel. Somebody spray painted Jaworski sucks. I'm like, the Eagles fans, man, like, they're still not over that.
Elephant memories.
Yeah. But anyways, you know, being able, with the big game coming up and this timing perfect, I wanted to, you know, have a little fun and talk about football. Sure. But because for me, there's so many lessons. And that's the part here now when you apply to your life, you apply to your business. And again, and you may not have a business. You may be working for somebody. And I don't care what trade you're in or what you're doing. It's all the same. But these are some of the lessons I apply. And you look at a team like the Chiefs, right? And in particular, for me, an example I always use with our team is the Super Bowl between the Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh,
yeah. I mean,
amazing.
Yeah, it was an amazing game. You know, in that final moment of the game,
yeah.
the Patriots were down by like a touchdown, right? And they are right there on the line, right there on the goal line. And the play they pulled off, I think, shocked everybody because it was a high-risk play.
Of course.
And that played into their advantage a little bit. But what amazed me about that, and the reason they did it, and this is for organizations, I believe, Brady knew exactly what he had to do, right? Every player on that team knew exactly what they had to do. Right. And they focused on knowing their role, right? They weren't they weren't in the huddle and you got the wide receiver. Now, Brady, now listen, remember, just make sure you get that ball snapped correctly.
Yep.
And because I'm going to be where I need to be, so I need you to no, because Brady knew his job. Yeah. And Brady knew the receivers would be where they need to be and the linemen would do what they need to do. But more importantly, and this is the part in business, I think, that trips people up. You know what the other person's supposed to do. You know what you're supposed to do. You know everybody knows their role and responsibility. It's the lack of trust that they're going to do it.
Without a doubt.
Right?
Without a doubt.
The concern that they're going to forget something. And I'll tell you, as in my role as a CEO, that's a challenge I struggle with every day. I put somebody out there. I say, hey, this is what we're doing, and do they know the role? Yes. Yeah, I'm confident they know the role. Do I trust them to get it done? Yes, I trust them to get it done. But then I'm always like, well, what if they don't? What if they don't? What if they do it differently? What if, and I think in football, in that play and in many plays, and we'll see it at the game. Mm-hmm. You're going to see the team that knows their role and trusts all the other players to do what they need to do is the team that's going to dominate. Yeah. And the other thing is, in that play, they didn't panic, right? And I think that takes us to what does a championship team, what do the two teams that are going to be playing on Sunday have in common? To me, they both have in common that their goal is to win a championship. It's not to win every Sunday or Monday night. It's to win the championship. And a business has to be out there to win the year, right? Their fiscal year, their calendar year, to be able to make the revenue, the profitability, and do the things that need to be done. If you're an individual working for somebody, you have your own goals. Mm-hmm. You need to look at what is the plan? Where do I want to be?
Right.
And in doing that, you don't let a loss on Sunday hang you up.
Exactly.
Right? And too many times, you see the football teams that carry that loss into the next weekend.
Oh,
right?
my God. So many times. Mm-hmm. Especially if a team gets drubbed, they're like, oh, they're hungover. You can tell they got the hangover. Where the great championship teams or the great businesses, they're like, there's going to be hiccups. There's going to be bumps in the road. Keep your eye on the prize.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah. And when they win, they carry the momentum into the next weekend, but they don't rest. They know that, the saying, any given Sunday.
Sure.
Right? They know that even if they're going up to a team that hasn't won a game all season and they're dominating, they know that could be the team that takes them out if they rest.
So true. It's and in like business, you always hear them say, "Hey, we're going to enjoy this. We're going to enjoy this win tonight, and then tomorrow it's on to." So, and again, like you mentioned, a quarter win in your business calendar. Hey, we had a great quarter. That's awesome. Let's go out to dinner. We're going to enjoy this tonight. Oh, guess what? The new quarter starts tomorrow.
Well, and then when they get back, what has amazed me, and this is with technicians, there's a lot of technology out there in the trades right now. AI, right?
Yeah.
Which we're going to have future episodes on AI. We're going to have special guests where the entire transaction in a home or on the phone is monitored, recorded, and graded, right?
Right.
And that's a little unnerving for some technicians. Like, well, what do you mean? And even on the phones, answering phones, or there's a ride along where a manager gets in a truck and rides along.
Yeah.
Well, one of the first things they do, they watch game film, right? They're being recorded, right? Not only are they being recorded, and they have to go watch their own game film and critique themselves, the entire United States is critiquing them, right?
Yeah.
Guys that couldn't run 10 yards are calling the guy a bum, and he doesn't belong on the field, right?
No doubt, exactly.
So they have to deal with that. So,
yeah.
But what's important is they watch game film of the competition and of themselves to figure out how to get better. And that is, we do it a lot in our industry, role play, right? And that's critical to success. So there's a lot that winning teams do. I always role play. Technicians hate role play, right? Because you have to stand up and you have to like pretend. But something really important to know is one of the great things is the mind doesn't know if it's real or pretend. You know, I always tell the technicians, close your eyes, right? And I have them close their eyes. And then I start describing a beautiful, juicy steak. And I go into great detail on it. And I said, is anybody's mouth watering? And they're like, yeah. Like, but why? Your mouth waters to prepare to eat because it helps you digest and everything.
But there's no steak in front of you.
There's no steak. But the mind doesn't know that, right?
Yeah.
And so if you can role play and perfect your technique in that setting, the mind doesn't know. You get that much better in the real setting. And football players, there's times they just run drills,
all
right?
the time.
No pads, or just role playing.
Exactly.
Right? And I guarantee you, the champions, the Bradys, has role played in his living room without even a football, right? How many people golf? You ever see a good golfer? They're just swinging.
All the time. Yeah.
You're standing in a grocery store and there's a guy over there swinging a golf club.
So true.
Right?
Yeah.
They're perfecting it. Another thing is, there was that guy. I wish I remembered his name. He was a POW, and he finally got released, and he went and played golf, and he had an amazing round, and everybody was amazed. And he said, I haven't shot over 72 in the last 3 years, because he mentally, to keep himself sane in confinement, he visualized himself playing 18 holes of golf, right? And so when he got out, it had literally impacted his game that much.
Imprinted on his brain.
Yeah, and that's why I think with sports, the things that they do, if we can carry it into our personal and professional lives, huge impact. When I look at, the ability for a team to dominate and win, the things that it takes are the exact same things that it takes to dominate and win in business. And I think if somebody's serious about being a champion, whether you want to be a champion parent, you want to be a champion football player, you want to be a champion in business, whether you're the business owner or you're a contributing member of that team as a technician or CSR or whoever you are, there are certain things that are non-negotiable that you have to do, because you don't end up at the big game by mistake. You don't just find yourself there. That's done with intentionality. It's done by following certain steps and disciplines, and that is true in life. And that's my take on that. That's another episode of the Tradepreneur Show. I'd like to thank again, as always, Mike Costa, co-host. I'd like to thank everybody behind the camera. We've got an amazing team back there. We've got Kelly, Massey, Mike, and then we've got our editor, who is not here but does everything and gets things dialed in.
Hello, Christy.
Yes. And there's some other people all involved that help us. Even our team that gets us make sure we have some water here ready to go. You can find us anywhere you can find a podcast. You can find us on YouTube. I really appreciate if you like the show, you follow us, like, comment. Your support means the world to us. Go Eagles.